Hey, good evening. Tonight we're going to be looking at the connection between doubt and wickedness. Doubt and wickedness. And welcome back to Everyday Talk 24/7. On this Monday, September 29th, we start a new week. Just 2 days left in September. And then we're into the last quarter of the year. Amazing. Okay, so let's look at this connection between doubt and wickedness. I'm not being harsh, I'm just following the biblical guidelines. As you know, we're in Proverbs chapter 4, looking at all the implications of wisdom. We're specifically in this section, verses 10 to 19, where the first part talks about the way of wisdom, the light of wisdom, and the second talks about the way of darkness and wickedness. I'm going to start with the last verse in this section, verse 19, to help us understand what wickedness is all about. So verse 19 of chapter 4 of Proverbs says this: "The way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble." So, as opposed to the light of wisdom, where things are clear because we are walking in wisdom, we understand wisdom. Because we understand life because we have wisdom, the light of wisdom. But in stark contrast to that, instead of the way of the righteous being bright, like the first gleam of dawn, the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. And notice how we can describe this. When you're on the way of the wicked, you don't even have to be wicked to be on the way of the wicked. But the telltale sign when you're on the way of the wicked is you don't know what makes you stumble. In other words, you trip and fall with the issues of life. And how did this happen? Why is this? We wind up being confused. You see, what Proverbs is teaching us, if we're not walking in the way of light, if we're not walking in the white light of wisdom, then we are by definition walking in darkness. And when we walk in darkness, we lose discernment. We lose the ability to understand why we're struggling, what our issues are. See, we're always going to have issues. You and I are going to have issues. I have them every day. We have struggles. The difference between walking in wisdom and the light of wisdom and walking in the wicked way in darkness is because the person who walks in wisdom understands where the problem is. Because wisdom is shining a light in his path. He can identify what's good as opposed to what's bad. He can identify selfishness. He can identify pride. But when you're on the way of the wicked, you don't have that ability. So you don't know what to blame. Blame somebody else, blame circumstances, blame God, blame the weather, blame the fact that I was tired, blame the fact that someone's not treating me well, blame my family. The list goes on and on. We don't know what to blame and who to blame. That's a sign of being on the path of the wicked, not in the way of darkness. See, without the light of wisdom, we can't identify what the problem is. We can't see those rocks in our path so we can avoid them. In darkness, we just keep stumbling over the same rocks, the same obstacles over and over again. This is what leads to doubt, and this is what leads to uncertainty. James picks up on this, and again, James is a New Testament book of wisdom. Listen to what James says in verses 6 to 8 of chapter 1. "But when you ask," he says, you can ask for wisdom and God will give it to you. "When you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like the wave of the sea, blown back and forth, tossed by the wind. That person should not expect anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do." You see the connection between the second half of Proverbs 4:19 and verse 8 here in James. The wicked, when you're on that way, you don't know why you're stumbling. When a person is doubting instead of walking in the light of faith and wisdom, he doesn't know. He's unstable. He goes back and forth. She goes back and forth. I don't know. Is that the right thing? Have I done this differently? And so we start doing pros and cons lists, and we start figuring out who to blame. We start beating ourselves up. All those things keep us from going back to wisdom. Because wisdom, the wisdom of the Proverbs, based on the truth of God's word, is what shines light in our dark path. So if we're angry, if we're confused, we're doubting everything, why is this happening to me? We've got to go back to wisdom. We've got to go back to all the excellent things we've been looking at in this first portion of Proverbs chapter 4, verses 10 to 13. See, that doubt then means I don't know what to do. That's where the wickedness comes in. If I'm focusing on worry and doubt and confusion, I'm not focusing on the light of wisdom. So I will not see what's in front of me. I will continue falling over the dark obstacles that I cannot see because I'm trying to figure it out because I'm unstable. Wisdom, not rules, but wisdom that looks at the principles of God's word, applies them to where we are, so I can take that truth of God and tie it right into my life. That's what wisdom is. That's the light of wisdom. That's why we need help. So you see, there is a connection between doubt and wickedness, because when I doubt, I open the door to wickedness. Simple, powerful truth. Again, verse 19 of chapter 4 of Proverbs. But the way of the wicked is like deep darkness. They do not know what makes them stumble. But the light of wisdom, you know. And you know you're free. And so I can remove those doubts and uncertainties. It's a beautiful, powerful truth. Again, love your thoughts and feedback. Thank you for being here. Great to start the week with you. And Lord willing, we'll see you again tomorrow. You have a great evening. Good night.